Hi, Kathy here. I'm going to tell you the story of the scones. During COVID, we were locked down. I was in the cabinet. I found this. Never saw it before in my life. I asked Maureen, what is this? It's a scone pan, she says. I was like, oh, do we make scones? And she's like, of course we do. And I said, well, how come I've never seen these scones? I don't know what you're talking about. She said, oh yeah, I order the package or the bag, whatever, of ingredients from Stonewall Kitchen or a place like that. And then I make them. And I was like, oh my gosh, what does that cost? And I said, like $25 or something. And I said, I bet you I can go on the internet, find a recipe about scones, and I can make scones for like $5. So I started, I made a couple, I had to tweak the recipe a little bit, stole from a couple people online, started bringing them to work. People were like, these are great. Well, an industry was born. Now I make scones. I have an apron that says just scones. Maureen made me a brochure, all the different flavors. So pretty much when anybody wants some, they call me up, they make an order, I make the batch, voila. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Hey, how's it going? We're here to make some scones. This was my thing I did for a while in COVID. I really got into it. They don't taste like your regular scones, or what most people, Americans at least, think of scones. We think they're dry and crusty and, all those kind of things. These are more like dessert. More like dessert than tea cakes or whatever they call them. So, luckily I have the recipe memorized because I made so many of these, like a lot. So we'll just, some flour, white sugar, super healthy. We are not low cal of any kind in general. And then we have baking powder. I can't talk while I count, sorry. There you go. And salt. That's the basic dry ingredients. Pretty simple. A good old whisk. I guess you could sift. I've never sifted them though. And they still come out great. So the wet ingredients, which we do separately, as anybody who's ever baked knows. It's an egg. I don't like that little nasty thing, so I get that out real quick. We used to say it was the umbilical cord. All right, so we do the eggs, get a little bit of heavy cream. Now, if you're doing any other flavor that has liquid in it, like sometimes pumpkin or the gingerbread ones that have molasses, you have to take out. You have to, obviously edit the volume of cream. Vanilla. Oops. It's probably enough. Oh, we're going to do lemon on this one. So I'm going to put a little lemon juice in here as well. I have that someplace. Where do I have it? So just a little lemon juice. Keep the things out, seeds out. All right, that'll add a little. We will add zest as well. But that is after we mix all this stuff together. Now I've had the butter in the freezer because to blend the butter in, or as they would say on Schitt's Creek, to fold in the butter, you have to have it frozen, because otherwise it all melts when you're touching it or mixing it. And you'll see a lot of people cube it, or a lot of recipes will call for you to do that. I personally grate it. That, in my opinion, is the trick. Oh, you gotta love some Stevie Nicks in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud. I'm probably not allowed to have any songs in the background, but that's for me, so I'll edit it out if I have to. So this is some good mussels. And yes, my hands are clean. Ooh, breaking up a sweat. All right, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to have it broken up enough that you can now blend it with the flour, the dry stuff. So we're going to get it all off of here. Okay. Now this is the trick to make them buttery and soft. You don't put it in a blender. You don't, do anything like that. You don't food process it. What I'm basically doing, and I guess this is the same way you make pie crust and pastry dough and things like that, is you want to get the butter so it's in small pieces. A lot of people will say pea size in your flour mixture or dough, whatever you want to call it, because that way when it bakes, the butter kind of melts and spreads, and it's really good. All right, so you can sort of see that it's pretty much blended in. Sorry about that, I had to pause. I forgot to zest a lemon before I started, so I just did that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just kind of swirl this in. We don't blop it in one big spot. And then we're going to put in the blueberries, store brand. I'm not special or pretentious like that. The lemon zest. And this we're going to stir to start. All right, now it's not completely mixed, but you can't get the rest of it with a spoon. You have to do the rest with your hands. So I'm going to get the pan ready. Sorry, pots and pans clanking. I have these awesome mini scone pans. I got them in COVID, or during COVID, I should say. And they're hard to find. You can find the ones that are silver, but they're lightweight and they're really just not as good. These are serious, almost like cast iron, but probably not cast iron. So again, we're not going to over mix. We want to mix it just enough until it's basically a ball of dough. Now, if you don't have these cool pans, which most people probably don't, you can actually roll it out and then cut it into little triangles or circles or whatever you want to do. Probably harder because that's really important. You probably need to chill your dough before you do that, because you do need the dough. If you don't have cold dough when you put it in the oven, all the stuff will spread and it won't keep its shape. So you'll be kind of like, oh, here's my scone. It's in the shape of a blob. All right, so a ball. Now we're just going to pick off some pieces of a predetermined size that I kind of just know. But again, a lot of that's trial and error. When you start, you're like, is this big enough? Is this too big? Did I make too many? Did I not make enough? And then they just go in the little pan shapes. I'll switch this. So, and this just takes a minute or two. All right, last one. Then we have a little extra heavy cream that we poured out. We're going to take that and we're just going to kind of crush everything. It gives it like a little extra crisp. It helps it crisp on the top. So we'll just take this, I guess it's like a basting brush, which is pretty much just what we're doing. And then we're going to cook them. You guys will get to see the end result. Super fun. Sorry you don't get to taste them, but I can vouch. During COVID, I was bringing them to work when I first started, like, hey, are these any good? And then a lot of people were like, they're really good. Do you make other flavors? I'm like, sure, I guess. What do you want? And so, they gave me flavor ideas, and some worked and some really didn't, or some were super hard because I just wasn't, like, I'm not really a baking expert. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a baking channel, for example. But it's just something more like science for me. If you do the exact recipe, it'll come out. And that's part of what baking is great about. If you follow exactly the rules, if your oven's the right temperature, like all that kind of stuff, then you make a good one. So going in the oven.